And then that battle would come down to earth. He says that battle that started in heaven now falls upon human beings. And the two powers decide to meet. And he said the place that these two powers meet is in the mind of the human being. In other words, there's a war that takes place. God's thoughts, Satan's thoughts. This war is the battleground. Depending on what's down in this soul, determines what happens to that thought life. If this down here is not right, it'll pull the enemy's thought in. But if this down in here is in contact with God, it'll cast the enemy's thought out and pull God's thought in. And look, let me show you where that works. Because when it gets into the mind, it's got to do something. Reasonings kick in. This kicks in. That kicks in. Well, the prophet of God said, when it comes to that reasoning, see, take that down in there, that part that can be anointed by the enemy. But take that soul down there. When it's in contact with God, we can use all kind of terms. Quicken to eternal life. But in other words, down in that control tower is something that came from God. When that thought comes there, here it comes. That thought, look, brother, let's just be honest. Every thought, and thank God, every thought that crosses through my head didn't mean I thought it. Because I would hate to think that a lot of thoughts that generate in my mind came from down in here, and I generated that. But Brother Branham says sometimes you don't generate that. He said that's a devil that puts that thought there. Now you got to do something about it. Depending on what's down in here, you got to take that thought. Now here's what you do. You do to that thought that's contrary to the word, that would love to have preeminence in your life, that would love to take you off the beaten path, that thought that's contrary to God, you have to do to that thought, to what God did to the originator of that thought. What did God do to the originator of the thought? God cast him down. What do you do to the one that put that thought there? You take that thought and you cast it down and you bring it into the obedience of Christ. If it's contrary to the word, you get rid of that thought. Brother, anything that's contrary to the word, we ought to cast it out. You have power to cast out devils. Is that right?